So one of the reasons why Justin reached out to myself is because on the show we had previously reviewed Remo Williams. The adventure begins. So at this point then in your career, you're on Remo Williams. You're winning stunt awards. You actually won your second Stunt Academy Award for Remo Williams. Um,
Yes.
and the only actor to ever work on the actual sort of Statue of Liberty. I mean, watching the scene where where Remo is hanging from the Statue of Liberty, you can see just exactly how far he has to fall, and considering how exciting the Statue of Liberty scene was in Remo Williams, do you feel that that scene should have maybe been the finale in the film, and how did you sort of go about sort of prepping for that for that scene?
The stunt coordinator on that show, the second unit director, was a guy named Glenn Randall Jr., and he knew me, and he knew my ability. You see, at that time, when I first started in the middle 70s, there weren't many, if any, stunt people, athletes like me in the business. The stunt people were then, they were weightlifters, they were cowboys, they were gangster types, they drove cars, they drove motorcycles, you know. In fact, I can tell you, which was factual, the stunt people of then and before laughed at martial artists as fighters. They thought we were a bunch of clowns. You know, that's the kind of stunt people that were in that. I mean, the Gene LaBelles, the Bill Ryasaki's, the martial art stunt people then, you know, uh, it wasn't the same because they were, Gene LaBelle was everybody's friend, and he was a wrestler, and he came, they had, the stunt people had been with him for 50 years before, so he was an exception, and he was judo, you know. But the things we did as martial artists, the kicks and punches and the takedowns and the breaks and the moving around, they thought of us like a bunch of clowns, and I explained that in the book. We weren't respected. When I came in, there were people like James Liu, Albert Young, Jeff Amata, Rick Avery, and Mike Vendrell. There were six of us, and we're different in every aspect. And I worked sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I was a Caucasian, skinny Caucasian, 5'9". I could play 16, I can play 21. That's how young I looked. So I worked all the time. Um, but this Glenn Randall knew me, and he knew my ability. I brought in martial arts. I learned stunts, and the things I did in martial arts, I incorporated in movie fighting. And I'll give an example. Um, uh, an American bullet hit. You shot me. You would shoot me. Well, you would shoot another stuntman, and he would take the bullet hit, get killed, fall on the ground, right? I always looked at that as everybody's doing the same thing. I want to be noticed. So what I would do when you would shoot me, right? As you raised the gun, I would like react and pretend like I was getting out of the way, or move in some kind of you know reflex, flinching, and I would jump up and do a double kick as high, just a double kick, as high as I can jump. And then at the very end of that kick, at the tippy top, which brought me like 6 feet high, I would go back and I would fall on my back on solid cement, all in one shot. These stunt people never saw anything like that. And I learned how to do that in martial arts, how to fall from high things. And so they'd hire me all the time. So what I'm getting at, making a long, short story, supposedly long, is this guy Glenn Randall knew me, knew my ability, knew what I could do. I would jump 2 stories on solid cement, pose, and run out of a shot. You know, my athleticism was above and beyond. Um, So this stunt coordinator knew me. So he knew that it would take, in normal situations with another stuntman, it would take days, weeks to do some of the things to prepare for safety and rig, angle up this, bring in that. With me, he knew, I'm 360 feet high. I don't need no rigging. I don't need no safety. I don't want it, first of all, because in my mind, I never liked cables. I never liked rigging because whatever I did, whatever I was in the middle of, if I wanted to do something else to make it better, this cable would stop me. I couldn't move anymore because it only goes certain positions, you know? And at the very beginning of my career, I realized that, and it stopped me from doing things. So this stunt coordinator knew that he didn't, just go over there. Can you do this? Can you come up with this idea? Can you come up with that? Can you jump from here to here? And there was nothing under me. And I knew my ability as a martial artist. You know, I mean, these hands at the time, if I grabbed on something, I would never let go, no matter how difficult it was. And, it just, we got so much on that movie, it would have took us another 2, 3 months to get everything with another stuntman because you have to re-rig, set cameras different, set up this, put safety on this. And with me, it didn't matter, and I didn't want it. All through my career, I always said, I don't want this cable. Now don't get me wrong. There were some times where I did use a cable. Like if you remember, I'm up there on the Statue of Liberty, the opening sequence. Just standing there. There's a helicopter shot, just looking all around, seeing, all the water, all of New York State, and I'm just standing up there, and you hear the music. Well, when I poked my head up there, there's 200-mile-an-hour winds. So in order for me to stay up there, I had to be harnessed. I had to put on a harness. I had to get cables, and I had to get. They built steel bars to go up my legs, and they brought me up there mechanically, and I had steel poles going up my legs because if I would have went up there myself, I would have flew out and flew off there.
Yeah.
That's how strong the wind is, 360 feet high. So for that, something like that, you want cables and safety. But up there on the head, in the face and all through the body, we were lucky they were fixing the statue at that time. So we had all these bars and this erector set all over the place. So
all the scaffolding was already up there. Yes, yeah.
The statue and what I was doing, what Fred was doing, more interesting. And to this day, I'm happy to say no others. They never allowed any other stuntman before or after to do the things I did on the statue. So to this day, nobody else has ever had a chance to work on the statue.
You're the only person that's been able to do that.
Wonderful memory.
Would you say that's probably the stunt that you're most proud of throughout your whole career, with the Statue of Liberty scene, or is there another scene that you would probably put on the pedestal and say, right, this is my greatest, my greatest stunt, my greatest scene?
This might sound corny, and you've heard this before, but in my entirety of my career, everything I've done, I've always taken to issue. I've always tried to create from the littlest to the biggest, whatever I was doing. And, talking about all the memory stuff, the big stuff, they're all my babies. Anything that I worked a long amount of time on, Indiana Jones, the series of ninja pictures, the Remo Williams, everything I do, I always tend to be very serious, light but serious when I'm putting it together and performing it. I'm a very caring guy when it comes to my work. So I don't have one favorite. They're all my babies. They're all you know, my
They're all your
work.
babies.
Uh, you know, it might sound funny and it might sound corny, but you know, to me, I'm like a painter. Um, you know, Leonardo da Vinci. You know, when I did the Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, the uh, uh, the River Phoenix scene, the train sequence. You know, that wasn't written. You know, I wrote it per se with Spielberg. The idea was there, but what we did wasn't written. And you know, some of my heroes are Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton,
Buster
James
Keaton, yes.
Cagney, Bruce Lee. You know, they're all my heroes. Douglas Wong, my martial art teacher. They're all my heroes. Anyway, I always took that kind of stuff into my work. And you know, something like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, whether it's the motorcycle sidecar sequence, where I totally wrote, wasn't in, or you know, Dublin River Phoenix, you know, it's my baby, and everything else I've always done. I've always, it's all meaningful work, especially when
Absolutely.
uh, you come from a place where I came from. You know, I didn't have family in it. I wasn't a genius. I wasn't in a position ever to be something, to be somebody that. And this is for all you guys and girls out there who aren't the smartest cookies. As long as you have common sense and you work hard in what you want to do, you know, you could achieve. And I'm living proof. Work hard, believe in yourself, and never give up. And keep your nose clean in honesty and the truth, and you'll make it. Just that's the key. Work hard, and you know, if somebody tells you not to do this because they don't believe in it, whatever it is, screw them, because it was told to me. And in your life, you have to have something that you enjoy doing if you're going to make it part of your life as far as work. And you know, if you enjoy your work, it's a beautiful life.
To be honest, that sounds like a fantastic way to end this interview. This has been absolutely fantastic, Stephen. Thank you very much for spending this time with us to talk with myself and talk with our audience. Good luck with the book. I'm sure from this interview, you're going to be selling many more copies of the book. And until next time, thank you very much for being part of this. And hopefully we'll get hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again further down the road.
Let me say thank you, David. It's been wonderful. Made me feel very comfortable. Everybody out there, all your audience, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy this. I hope I gave you some wonderful insight on things. You take care. Again, Steven Lambert, from the streets of Brooklyn to the halls of Hollywood. Get it on Amazon.com. And Martial Art History Museum, Michael Matsuda, Burbank, California. Come see it. It's a wonderful, wonderful museum. That's
Absolutely.
all, folks.
Be sure to check that out if you're in the area. Right, and from me, thank you very much for watching this video, and we will catch you again next time.